Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Final Siren podcast. Not really something different today, but we've been doing it the past few days. Seems to be going well. We're doing match previews for pretty much all the finals games. We'll get this finals game started off, boys. Oh my goodness, Roosters versus Rabbitohs. What a match this is going to be. One of the oldest rivalries in the game. As an elimination final, obviously there's going to be a lot of feeling in this. The loser gets eliminated. What are you boys thinking about this game? Obviously going to be a cracker. I know Faraz, you're going to the game. So what's your just general thoughts on the game before we get into the stats?
Yeah, look, this is such a good game to watch. I was here last week watching the Roosters Rabbitohs at the new stadium, and they're playing here again in a finals game. I don't know how good. It's such a treat for rugby league fans, especially if you're a Roosters Rabbitohs fan. Today's a big day. You definitely want to get that win.
Well said. And for you, Lachlan?
Yeah, it should be a good game. They're old rivals for a reason. They're going to be out for blood, both sides. We know that they hate each other. This time, Joey Manu, he's not playing. Is that correct?
Yeah, he's not playing.
Yeah, so that's a big loss for the Chooks. But you know the Roosters system, it's next man up, and it's going to be a cracking game. Everyone should get around the TV this afternoon and tune into the footy.
Well said. Yeah, for me, it's a great game. I can't wait to see this happen. It's could you get any and like this first week of finals has been absolutely crazy. Could it have got any better? You've got Storm versus Raiders, which Raiders have still got the wood over the Storm after another win against them at Amy Park. Now you have Roosters versus Rabbitohs, the oldest rivalry in the game, one of the best. You've also got I think what was it, Eels versus Parramatta, the Battle of the West for a prelim spot, and the Cowboys versus Sharks game, which went right down to the wire, went through extra time. Went right into Golden Point, and that Val Holmes 47 meter field goal for the 2 point. Oh my goodness, it was great to watch. And this first week of finals, I reckon it's
I've got
been
a question, by the way,
best.
before we move on. So there was a moment in the game yesterday where I think Connor Tracy went over, but they ruled it for Holmes to be obstructed. Do you think that was a penalty or not?
Yeah, I think he was going for the ball. In my opinion, he tried to. He was going for Holmes. In my opinion, he didn't look like he was trying to get the ball. He got nowhere near it, so I think it should have been a penalty. And I was surprised when Cowboys took the 2, but it all ended up working out in the end.
Lockie, your thoughts?
Yeah, you can say it's a penalty. People are going to argue that he was going for the ball, but you can also see from different angles that he did grab Holmes first before the ball got there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was definitely a professional foul. We know all them get called and they all get sent off for that. And it basically hurt the Sharks in the end because they were down a man, and then that's when the Cowboys turned it up a notch, and the Sharks were out in their feet already, and they were already defending with a man down.
Yeah, well said. We'll quickly go into the stats part of things. Key matchup, James Tedesco versus Latrell Mitchell. Before we head into this key matchup, I just want to point out very quickly, there were a lot of matchups here that you could have mentioned. The Battle of the Locks, Victor Radley versus Cameron Murray, that would have been an absolute banger as well. I think there was also Alex Johnson versus Daniel Tupou, the two left wingers. They're not on the same side as each other, but both try-scoring freaks. There's also Lachlan Ilias versus Sam Walker, two very young halfbacks. Cody Walker versus Luke Keary. List goes on. But for me, and I hope you boys agree, this is one of the best matchups we've seen in a while. And not just because of the rivalry these two teams have, and the fact Latrell used to play for the Roosters. Sorry. Also, the stats are very close despite so many games difference. We'll quickly look at those. Tedesco, from 23 games, he's got 13 tries, 12 try assists, 14 line break assists, and 17 line breaks, which is unheard of. Well, except for Cameron Munster, which we talked about yesterday. He also had 17 line breaks in the season. And Latrell Mitchell, despite only playing 14 games, still has 6 tries, 16 try assists, which is more than Tedesco. 23 line break assists, which is again more than Tedesco, but only 7 line breaks in comparison to Tedesco's 17. I mean, the stats are pretty even in like they're in different parts of the field, boys. Who do you have winning this matchup and why?
Lockie, you can go first, mate.
I've probably got Tedesco still. I understand Latrell hasn't played the whole year, and even when he has played, he's been unreal as always. But I think going off this year, Tedesco, he's Mr. Consistent, isn't he? He's always around the rucket somewhere. He's always backing up his players. He's always showing up in the big moments. This is why Tedesco is one of the best fullbacks we've seen of all time. And for me, I think the stats speak as well. But for me, Teddy wins this matchup. But not if Latrell played the whole year, it could be different.
It really could, yeah. And for you, Faraz?
It's so tough. I mean, these two have been teammates from before at the Roosters. They've been teammates at the Origin level. It's so tough to really pick them apart because on their day, it's so hard to like differentiate who's really better. Even though for me, I agree with what Lockie said there. He's Mr. Consistent. He's been consistent all year for the Roosters. I think for Latrell, if he wants to win this battle, he's got to take the emotional things out of the way. Last week, you can clearly see he was affected emotionally. He wanted to get into the Roosters players' face. He got affected by the fans. He's got to take everything out of his mind. I think we'll have a bounce back game. I think Latrell will win this battle, but it'll be really tight. There'll be nothing in it.
Well said. Yeah, I definitely think. I think Latrell actually may win this battle. I just think I'll tell you more about it when I go into my tips. But I just think they kept Latrell quiet last game. I don't think they'll be able to do it again. I think Manu was a big part.
They'll keep the same plan as well.
Really? Oh, I mean, I can see them keeping the same plan, definitely. I just think
kick Chase and get onto him before he gets any space to run.
The Latrell,
definitely.
Did you think Latrell had a poor game, or do you think it was more of the Roosters keeping him quiet?
He didn't have a poor game. He was just quiet.
They also made him frustrated, which you could see with the sin bin. I mean, I know it was. I think it's because he was laying in the ruck or something constantly, but I mean, I think that's the main weakness of the Rabbitohs. If you frustrate, oh sorry, my camera's completely shut off. I'll try and fix that soon. If you frustrate Latrell Mitchell or Cody Walker, I mean, feel like the whole attitude of South Sydney just goes down, and it is something you see often.
Latrell's such a pivotal point of that team. He's the backbone of that side. It's no coincidence when he started coming back, South could attack more. They could score more points. The defense was better because they had an organising fullback and someone who had experience and could score points.
Definitely so. I mean, yeah, it was. I reckon last game, I mean, Roosters won 26-16. Towards the end, it looked like South Sydney could spark a little bit of a comeback. So I'll be looking forward to seeing what happens here. I think Joseph Manu was a big part of Roosters' last game. His defense was on, especially on Latrell. So I'll be looking forward to seeing because, I mean, if you look at the Roosters centre pairing real quick, Drew Hutchison and I think it's Paul Momirovski. Actually, no. Yeah, I think it might be Paul Momirovski in the centres now. I mean, I think those are two centres. Paul Momirovski has been proven to not be great defensively against, like we saw that versus Katoni Stags in round 5, I believe it was. And we see, I think he's been carved up a few times by bigger men who have a big fend. And Drew Hutchison, obviously, he's not a centre. So Adam Kieran is on the bench. And I could see him shifting into the centres. But, I mean, I guess we'll have to see what happens when we get there. Still around 4 hours away. But, yeah. We'll quickly go to our tips, margins, and anytime try scorers, boys. And then we'll have a quick chat about what happened yesterday. But first, would either of you like to give your tips? Would either of you like to give your tips?
Yeah, I'll go first. I tipped South Sydney last week, got disappointed. This week, I'm going South Sydney. I'm going to play the reverse card. I think South will get them back. I think they know what needs to be done for this rematch. I think they'll be much better for it long term. In 2019, the Rabbitohs beat the Roosters in the final regular season game of the year. Then the Roosters smashed them the next week. I don't think it'll be smashing, but I think Rabbitohs will be up for this. I think Latrell will be so hungry. He's out for blood.
Definitely. And for you, Lachlan?
Yeah, I'm 50-50. But you got to pick one team. But I think going off last week, the Roosters know how to win. Roosters know how to get over the line in those tough moments. Their forwards are, you could even say, one of the most physical forward packs in the comp. They've got Victor Radley, Jared Hargraves, and so on. So their forward pack is what gets them over the line, and they got Tedesco and all them off the back of them. But I'm going to go the Roosters 1-12 for this one. I think the Rabbitohs will definitely push them harder than last week, but I think the Chooks will just have too much class still.
Well said. Yeah, for me, I mean, I'll discuss this in a second with my multi. For me, I'm going to go South Sydney. I think 1-12. I can't see this game being a blowout by any standards because I think the teams are just too even for me, especially without Manu for Roosters. If Roosters had Manu, I'd be tempted to pick Roosters, but I feel like just Damien Cook being back, Cameron Murray hopefully to play a full game this time. I think they also get, I'm not sure, I feel like they get back a lot of experience in Damien Cook, a lot of finals experience there.
And Campbell Graham.
And
well.
Campbell Graham as well, that's right. So I feel like with those inclusions, I feel like they definitely could turn it on tonight. I've got Souths 1-12, and I've got Latrell anytime. I just think I think he'll give it to the crowd when he scores.
I'll be booing him. Just letting you know.
Definitely looking forward to it. We'll quickly go to my same game multi, then we'll go to Lachlan's same game multi. I've got Souths head to head, Nat Butcher anytime try scorer, Latrell Mitchell anytime try scorer, over 42.5 total match points at $26.50 return. This should be, I mean, like I always say when I read these out, I'm not encouraging you to gamble responsibly. But if I were a betting man, I'd definitely be putting money on this. I mean, Souths head to head, I feel like this could go either way with who you choose for any time for head to head. And I think there's a lot of value in Nat Butcher. I think he's paying $3.80 for an anytime try scorer, which he's been in some good try scoring form. And Latrell Mitchell, I just feel like he'll have determination to get over the line tonight. And I could see this being a very high scoring game. That's probably the only one I'm not too confident about, the total match points. But yeah, I think, we'll see what happens. But that's what I've put a bet on. Before we go to Lachlan's same game multi, we'll quickly talk about something that happened yesterday. I think everyone in the chat who was here yesterday already knows what it is. I know Jared knows what it is. So yesterday, Lachlan was saying this during the Sharks vs Cowboys preview.
I'm going to say, if you're a Cowboys fan, tonight is not going to be a good night to watch footy.
Yeah.
Tonight, for Cowboys fans, there will be tears because Sharks at Shark Park. When was the last time Cowboys won in Sydney? Sharks tonight, 13 plus.
So we have vision there of Lachlan. Very confident, Sharks 13 plus. I think there will be a couple people giving it to him in the comments. There already has been. Lachlan, would you like to say anything about this, or just sort of explain your reasoning for that, or no?
There's no reasoning for it. That's what I believed. I believe the Sharks win 13 plus. Clearly, the Cowboys are the better team on the night. We can't deny that. It was a cracking game of footy. Both sides, they're off their feet. They showed the NRL what the NRL is about. You play for each other. You play for heart. The Sharks turned up. They're up by 8 with not much left. The Cowboys came back. Val Holmes showed his class off his foot, and the Cowboys won. I still stand by. I said Sharks 13 plus. That's what I believe. Not everything that you say happens. It's just a footy tipping, and I give it out, so I've got to receive it, and I'm fine with receiving it because that's what I said.
Definitely, well said. I mean, there are a lot of people coming back from the previous video. I can't really get up your same game multi. It's not letting me right now. I'm not sure. Sorry for the technical difficulties. It's actually not on my screen at all. Instead, we might move to some questions before we end off. Sorry about that. But actually, Lachlan, if you remember your same game multi, feel free to read it out for us.
Do you want my most recent one or the one I said?
Either way, I feel like either's fine.
Okay. So I've tipped the route. I'm going for the Roosters, but for my multi, I've got Rabbitohs head to head, Suwali, Crichton, and Johnson anytime. It's paying $31.50, so $10, $3.15 back.
I feel like there's some good value there. I feel like, I mean, if you don't, I actually didn't put AJ in my same game multi, and I'm not too sure why. But I mean, he didn't score. I don't think he scored last game versus.
If I
versus
take,
Roosters.
I'll take Rabbitohs out, and I'll put Chooks head to head. Then it's paying $10 on it, 122 back. So to get the value, you go with Rabbitohs. But if you want to play it, if you want to go for Chooks, then you'll still get over 100, which isn't bad.
Well said. I think, I feel like that's some good value there.
I also want to point out another key matchup today would be the young halves. Sam Walker versus Lachlan Ilias. That would be a great test for these young two. But
I mean, I think Sam Walker, some finals experience. Lachlan Ilias, none.
He wants to bounce back from last year after that Manly game. I'm pretty sure he wants revenge.
Definitely. I mean, it should be a cracking game. I'm looking forward to seeing how they respond to the pressure of being the halfback that leads the team around the park. For a finals match. But I mean, yes, it is what it is. I feel like this could be a great game, and I think we might go to some questions. Only a shorter one today, but I mean, it's been a great one all the same. I'll go right back up to the top here.
There's a few questions.
Stuart Butcher says, Lachlan, what happened?
Yeah, mate, what happened?
I feel like that may have been explained already. So,
what happened is I got a tip wrong. I'm here to stand for it.
Yep.
Everyone gets things wrong. We move on, and that's life. It's footy. You got to pick someone.
Well said. And Broad Wonder says, Upper Chooks. I'm not too sure about. I personally don't like Chooks. That's just. I might be personal bias for me to
I just hope it's a cracking game of footy.
Definitely.
Is it because your best mate goes for Roosters, Noah?
I've got a few mates who go for Roosters, and I'd love to see Roosters knocked out first week. I'd love to see it. I'm sorry, but Nick Sam says up south. I'm with you all the way. Go South Sydney for tonight, but next week I'm going to go Sharks depending
next week
if either go. Sharks title chances over. I don't think they ever really had title chances, from being completely honest. I feel like it's Penrith, just straight up. I mean, Cowboys now a chance, in my opinion. But what do you boys think?
The problem is now that even if the Sharks get the job next week done, they're going to have to run into Penrith in the prelims. So that's why yesterday was so important. So, I don't even see Sharks winning next week personally, because I think yesterday's game would have taken so much out of them. The lives would have been sucked out. So I think next week will be a challenge regardless at Shark Park. Even the defense wasn't up to scratch, but Cows don't have much finals experience, so that's why it was close. But Sharks got to be better if they want to compete. You can't let 32 points in at the same time. Look, I wouldn't say it's over, but it's dragged them back a long way now.
Definitely. Well said.
The Shark spirit never dies, I'll tell you. Okay. They're still in it. They're still in it. Don't rule the Sharkies out yet.
I'm just saying, for Sharks to make the grand final, they would have to beat either Roosters or Rabbitohs next week and Penrith in week 3.
Okay, so, who do you think they have a much better chance of beating, the Roosters or the Rabbitohs?
Both, to be honest.
No, I'd go Rabbitohs. I don't know how they'll go against Roosters. If Roosters win today, then I'll see them carrying that momentum.
The problem is Roosters have won 7 straight, so I feel like they could honestly get into a big roll on. I would actually love to see Roosters versus Panthers week 3. I feel like that would be a cracking game to make it to the grand final. But I mean, I guess we'll see how it goes. I personally don't like Roosters that much, but I wouldn't mind seeing them in the grand final personally against Cowboys or something like that. Luke, Melbourne Storm fan, says hello. Hello, Luke. Thank you for joining. Best game so far. Oh,
it has to be Sharks.
It
has to be Sharks.
You got to go last night, don't you?
It has to be Sharks Cowboys, but I mean, even if you take this first week of finals, I can't think of another time I've been so
Generally so
hyped about a
excited.
week of footy.
About
Yeah.
every game as well. Like every game doesn't. Don't be fooled by the scorecard on Friday night because that game was tight for 55 minutes.
Definitely. In fact, you could say Friday night's game was the least entertaining, and still it was
And it still had
really entertaining.
Yeah.
There's been no bad games so far, and I have a feeling there won't be any bad games.
By
I have
the
a feeling
way,
this whole series.
Shout out to me, Noah. We tipped the Raiders to win, and we did.
Yeah. Shout out to Faraz especially for tipping Raiders to win by 8 and Jordan Rapana to be the last try scorer to win the game. Brilliant.
Sam
game-winning
Revel
try.
is in the chat.
Sam Revel's in the chat. Awesome. Tedesco
mate.
for me wins the matchup. Yeah, I could see the matchup going either way. I think season-wise Tedesco, I think tonight Latrell might win it. I guess we'll see how it goes. Best game in 2022. I'm guessing you mean last night or tonight's game. Either way, I picture either game could be great. What do you boys
What would
reckon?
be your favorite game of the season?
Other than Cowboys vs Sharks so far?
I'll give you. I'll go from the regular season. I'll give you 3 games, and I'll let you just rank it, I guess, because there's so many to choose on. I'd go Storm Roosters, the one at Melbourne just recently. I would go Storm Eels at Melbourne. And this is not me being biased, but I think this was a pretty good game, even though my boys fell short. But Broncos Roosters round 5. That game was cracking.
Oh, Broncos Roosters round 5 was all right. I think I'd probably place that third out of all of them. Then I'd go Storm Eels.
I'd say Cowboys Bulldogs round 1.
Oh, that was actually a cracking game. I think that was actually a reasonable game, in my opinion.
I mean, going to the Cows, they proved everyone wrong.
I can't really tell if you've been serious. We'll move on quickly. Souths by 4. That's a pretty good bet. In fact, if we want to go into exact tipping, I'm going to go Souths by 10. I reckon it's double digits lead, but I do think it'll be closed most of the way through. Souths by 2, so we have some Souths sneaking in by a lot of people's standards. Yeah, I could see any score happening really. Any 1 to 12 for either team, I could see that happening. Eels or Raiders next week, boys. Would you like to answer this one?
I'm gonna go Raiders.
I can't really give a tip because we don't know if there'll be any injuries to the team list or anything. I think Eels will be favourites, but I'll probably be barracking for the Raiders. So we'll see how it goes.
Does Mitch Moses play next week? That's the question.
If Moses isn't playing next week,
so.
if Moses isn't playing next week, I'm going to go Canberra 13+.
I mean, it gets to the point where I know Eels are desperate to stay in the finals. I know they're desperate to win their first title in a while, but I don't see. They need to think about Moses' long-term future. Anyone who saw that concussion knows.
Even though
that
it
he
didn't
shouldn't be
look
playing
as
next
bad
week.
as what it was, his head was still crushed.
Yeah.
For me, it was the way he was sitting.
And the way he walked off the field, he was still side to side.
Yeah. I don't see him playing next week. I think for his health, he shouldn't. But it all depends on how he's.
And honestly, sometimes you got to take the rub of the green. Would you rather be playing the Raiders or Storm? So they just got to. Unfortunately, they got to back Jacob Arthur for a week, I think.
Yeah. Amon or Mam? Amon currently.
Currently, right now, Amon, but long term, I can see Ezra Mam. But right now, you can't go past Amon. He's in career best form right now.
Yeah. Boo the Roosters all day. I mean, I'm just looking forward to a game of footy. Actually, I'm not even sure I'm going to be cheering anyone on. I don't like Roosters. I don't really necessarily like Rabbitohs either. But I'm just looking forward to watching a great. This is the same for Penrith versus Eels. I don't like either of those teams, but I just love footy in general. Can't wait for it. Cowboys to win it all. I can see it. The only problem is Penrith. I feel like Penrith are the obvious choice.
Cowboys ain't winning the trophy.
They'll be the grand final for me, unless the Roosters. The only thing that I can see beating them in Townsville is the Roosters. Probably, I don't see anyone else going up there.
Well, the only team they can verse because of the way the final series thing is set out, it'll either be Eels or Raiders
Oh,
who they play. So I see them making the grand final.
yeah.
I don't think either of those teams have what it takes to beat the Cowboys in Townsville.
But to be honest, people said the Raiders wouldn't win in Melbourne.
No, but
I mean, I did.
But let's be real though. Like a lot of people at the same time did give the Raiders a small chance that there's a hooter there and they can definitely compete. But you just couldn't think of a world where Melbourne will get knocked out first week. I think people actually acknowledge that the Raiders had a chance, but it's more like.
But you would say that Melbourne's harder to go play in Melbourne than Cowboys are in North Queensland.
Not for Raiders.
But yeah, well, it's sort of that Burgee thing that strikes again. So it'll be interesting to see. But do keep in mind that Cowboys are a healthy side right now. They're 100%. Melbourne had a lot of injuries. So for what they did this season, I'd say it's a pass as well. So we've got to keep that in mind. The Cowboys are a healthy side. They've got everyone on deck.
Nick Sam says, anyone watch cricket? Upper Aussies stay versus Black Caps. Go the Aussies. Speaking of cricket, we'll actually be expanding a bit in the off-season, maybe doing a bit of cricket, covering maybe a bit of NBA. We haven't fully decided on that yet, but we're closing in on that. When we decide, there will be an update. But definitely, I think cricket's a great thing to cover. And, go the Aussies. Can't wait for today's game. Jared.
Farewell, Finchy.
Farewell, Finchie. Yeah, definitely. Jared Rogers says, respect Lockie, was a great game. Now, since they won in Shark Park, can you see them making it to the big one and taking it home? I think he's referring to the Cowboys.
It's your question, mate.
I can see them making the grand final, but I don't think they'll win it.
Agreed.
I think you've definitely got to give them a chance because as much as I hate this team and as much as I want to curl up in a ball and cry when I see them win, I still think that they can make the grand final. But fingers crossed, I will be cheering for the opposite team.
Okay. You really want Panthers to win again? Really?
Oh, are you kidding me? Panthers over Cowboys, 100%.
Didn't Panthers get Cowboys to nil last time?
At full strength, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was at Blue Bet, though. So, I mean, but yeah. And it was actually close most of the way through as well. It was just the end.
Yeah,
Cowboys lead a few tries. Finch retired, yep. Sad to see him go, but I think it had to be done. His form has just been terrible.
What did I say, man?
Yeah, you told me.
A few days ago, Lachlan called it before it even happened. He got an inside scoop somewhere, I think. How about them Cowboys, Sam Rebel?
Oh, Sam.
Definitely.
Oh, bring that on, baby.
Why do you have so many jerseys? Just waiting for the Gold Coast jersey now. Very expensive toilet paper, that one. North Queensland NRL Premiers 2022. Yeah, maybe. I give them if it's Panthers versus Cowboys, I give them a 30% chance. 70 to 30. I'm not sure what that is responding to, but we'll just skip on from that. Thanks, Nick Sam. Cowboys Panthers grand final. Lock it in. I think it is. I can't see anything else happening. Sharks versus Cowboys or Panthers versus Cowboys. Wouldn't be surprised if Raiders somehow beat the Cowboys.
Yeah.
If they make it.
I hope in the prelim it's a short kickoff, all tied up. Kyle Feldt gets escorted off the ball. They kick a penalty goal, and the Cowboys are going.
Heat all the way. I think you're referring to BBL.
Mate, 100%.
Definitely up the Brisbane Heat. We'll be covering that BBL season. Can't wait for that. I'm surprised Faraz didn't get on his Sixers jersey there for a second. Or it might be Sydney Thunder. I'm not sure. He has so many jerseys. It's hard to keep count. But that might just about do us. I think that's all the questions. I'm just checking just double checking to make sure. And it is. It's been a half an hour stream.
You're tipping South Sydney, right?
South Sydney, yeah.
Yeah, I've got South 24-20.
24-20. I'll go South.
Going.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
I have Latrell anytime, and I'm going to go Campbell Graham for South Sydney. And
I'm actually going to go South to beat the Roosters, opposite of what happened last week.
Yeah.
South 26, Roosters 16.
Angus Crichton and Sam Walker.
Angus Crichton and Sam Walker. Well
said. Roosters 18-14.
Well said. Another goated stream. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining. We had a lot of viewers throughout the stream, a lot of questions to get through. Faraz will be going to the game, so I hope you enjoy that, Faraz.
I think I'll be meeting Nick as well, so hope to see those lads and all that.
That'll be great. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Been a pleasure to do this stream, and we'll see you. I think probably it might actually end up being tonight if we can. Might be a bit later tonight. Might be. I'm not sure, but
it definitely won't be tomorrow.
Won't be tomorrow. But we'll definitely put out something for the review of all these games this week. It might be a bit of a late stream tonight due to Monday stuff that we have going on. So yeah, we'll see you all then if that's what's happening. But yeah, thanks for joining the stream. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.